So one of the things that has basically been an ongoing and endless project ever since I started playtesting this is trying to tune a lot of this. You'll notice there's not much here. Club and the saber and the heavy saber as, you know, melee weapons. And then you have the small, medium, large revolver, stopping pistol, and then 2 bows. And these are, you know, all of the weapons the game currently has. And oddly enough, you know, I'm pretty sure there's already too many because I've never seen one of my playtesters ever purchase the medium revolver. They start, if they want revolvers, they start with a small revolver, and when they have enough money, they just buy the large revolver. And in addition, you know, I don't feel like it's clear, you know, why you would choose one or the other. To have a bunch of weapons that are essentially the same weapon with a different name, I don't think the game is going to benefit from that. So, you know, I think the medium revolver goes, and I think I have to look at, you know, the long and the short bow, compare them to the small and the large revolver, and determine, you know, why would you choose one or the other? What are they going to change about the way you fight or the way you do damage or whatever? Because if they're essentially the same, then there's no point in them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a spreadsheet that lists all the vital stats on these, and I'm going to go through and determine how to tweak the stats. And this is an ongoing process. This is not the first time I've done this. I've gone through and tweaked these stats multiple times before, and that's just trying to get it right is not easy. It just takes time and practice, and you got to listen to your players and watch what they're doing and say, why doesn't anybody use this, or why did you choose the revolver over the bow or whatever, you know. So here's my little spreadsheet. The medium revolver is not in here because I've already decided I'm not going to keep it, but this gives me basically stats. I'm not going to go into this at this point. If you're curious, you can pause the video, but I'll be back in no time with an updated list. All right, so here's what I'm going to try. There's actually a lot of other settings related to these weapons. Things such as, the perfect example is a club's damage is adjusted based on the wielder's strength a lot more than a saber, and whereas a short bow, the damage isn't affected at all by strength, you know, that sort of thing. I'm not going to mess with those. I'm not this time around. The problem is there's so many settings on these weapons that it's just endlessly tweaking, potential for endlessly tweaking. But here's what I've done. The short bow is very affordable. So right off the bat, the players with their default money can buy one if they want. It's very precise. It's the most precise ranged weapon. It has the second shortest range, and it has the least damage because it's just a short bow. The small, one of the things I did is I renamed the revolvers to Pepperbox because I think that's a more accurate name for the kind of weapon I have envisioned. People didn't understand why it took so long to reload the revolvers, and I was like, well, it takes a while to reload a muzzle loading revolver. And the thing is, people don't think of muzzle loaders when they think of revolver. When you say Pepperbox, if they know what a Pepperbox is, they're immediately going to know that it is muzzle loaded. And if they don't know what a Pepperbox is, they're either going to ask or they're going to look it up or something, and they'll so Pepperbox more accurately tells people that this is a muzzle loading weapon. It does a little more damage, has less range, because Pepperboxes were traditionally smoothbore, and the way the rotating barrels at the time period in which this happened, the engineering wasn't really that precise, so it was kind of wobbly. It wasn't a real precise weapon, and I gave it the second worst precision rating of the ranged weapons. The cost goes up considerably because, again, when you look at manufacturing this is this is an expensive gun. The standard bow, I got rid of the longbow because the longbow is a massive, dangerous weapon. And I may add in an actual longbow at some point in the past, but for the testing purposes, I'm trying to keep the number of weapons to a minimum to get these balanced, and then I can add upper tier weapons in later. But a standard bow is not like a short bow is something, it's like, you know, 2 feet long. You could actually carry it on your back, whereas a standard bow is a little bit longer. It has the longest range of all the ranged weapons because for this period, and I know you're thinking, but a pistol has much longer range. Not a Pepperbox. One of these muzzle loading Pepperboxes, the range is just, they don't have, they're firing black powder. They're really not. And I wonder, I do wonder how, like, people I mean, I'm sure people will endlessly debate this, but this is the world I'm trying to create these things in. The large pepper box does not have as much range as the standard bow, but it does a lot more damage. It's a larger caliber. And then the stopping pistol is, it doesn't quite have the range of the standard bow, but it has the second best range. It's also equally expensive, and it does the most damage. And what you get for that damage is a single shot, and then you have to reload it. So you basically get one shot per combat, because reloading in the midst of combat with a muzzle-loading pistol is just not practical. It tweaked the precisions a bit. The large pepper box has the worst precision. Small pepper box the second worst. Stopping pistol, and then the standard and the short bow being the most accurate. I changed the club. I lowered the cost. I mean, it's a club. You get a heavy stick. I mean, you can't really expect people to pay much for that. I'm actually, now that I'm talking about this, I'm considering maybe going down a little more. I reduced the damage the club does and increased the damage the saber does, and the accuracy hasn't really changed much. Maybe I'll record some play testing, and we'll see how these things pan out once players are using them. But I'm going to go ahead and put these values in the code now, and that's it for this video.